In the heart of rural Oregon, a rancher's legacy was threatened not by wildfire or drought, but by a luxury HOA next door. What started as a locked gate turned into a legal war over land, water, and power. But this isn't just a fight for property. It's a fight for community, justice, and one family's right to stand their ground. This is the true story of how one man turned a blockade into a breakthrough. My name is Cole Ramirez, fifth-generation rancher, Benton County, Oregon. 80 acres of stubborn land that's survived fire, frost, and the Great Depression. What we hadn't yet faced until last year was a war with a neighborhood association we didn't even belong to. Riverglen Meadows rose up beside our ranch like an artificial oasis, luxury homes with synthetic lawns, vinyl fences, and HOAs that cared more about hedge height than humanity. We'd learned to coexist, mostly in silence, until Celeste Brighton arrived. Celeste was polished, poised, and ruthless. Former real estate executive, HOA president. Before the ink on her mortgage dried, she didn't just enforce rules, she rewrote them. And then she came for us. It started subtle, a nasty note about livestock odor, a drone hovering above our barn. Someone complained to the county about our irrigation schedule. Petty, I thought. Until one morning, I came home from delivering feed and found two men in black polo shirts standing in front of a new barbed wire gate installed directly across my driveway. One of them said I was trespassing. I laughed. On land that's been in my family since 1893. Behind them, clipboard in hand, stood Celeste Brighton. Her voice was sharp. Your access route crosses an easement under review by the HOA. That was a lie. Our ranch had been surveyed, recorded, and exempt from Riverglen's jurisdiction from day one. The road in question wasn't theirs. It was the same gravel strip my great-grandfather carved out with mules and stubborn hope. But I didn't lose my temper. Not then. I asked them politely to remove the gate. They didn't. That night, my wife Isabel, barely a week out of her latest chemo round, got stuck behind that gate coming back from the clinic. No phone reception. Cold rain falling. I found her 20 minutes later, shivering behind a locked steel barrier. Headlights off. Trying not to cry. That was the moment I snapped. This wasn't about boundaries anymore. It was a siege. I called Sheriff Doug Meyer, high school buddy. Still keeps a photo of our JV rodeo team on his office wall. He arrived within an hour, reviewed my deed, examined the gate, and ordered it torn down immediately. One of Celeste's private guards resisted. That ended with handcuffs and a patrol car ride. Celeste didn't flinch. The next morning, a new camera system was installed. By nightfall, we had blinding floodlights pointed straight at our bedroom windows. Then came the drones, buzzing over our fields, like oversized mosquitoes. Guards in HOA-branded jackets began stopping anyone coming in or out, demanding entry verification. This was more than harassment. It was a coordinated squeeze. My niece Lena, a property rights attorney in Portland, started digging. She didn't like what she found. Brighton Development, a company owned by Celeste's husband, had quietly filed plans for a massive $60 million resort, luxury spa, golf course, conference center, and to make it viable, they needed one thing they didn't have: our water rights. We didn't want to sell, so they decided to push. Lena got a break when a whistleblower, a former Brighton employee, sent her a USB drive filled with internal emails. The subject line on one thread, Operation Squeeze Out. They had blueprints, strategies, even language scripts for increasing pressure on neighboring landowners. We went to court. Lena filed a civil RICO suit: racketeering, fraud, coercion. The judge issued a preliminary injunction against Riverglen's HOA. Surveillance stopped. The lights turned off. But Celeste, she wasn't done. A week later, we received notice that Riverglen had taken out a $4 million loan using every shared community asset as collateral: the clubhouse, pool, greenways. It was a financial gamble built on the assumption they'd absorb our land, boost home values, and refinance. But the deal was collapsing. They were about to default. So I made a move. Lena had just closed a fraud case against another Brighton shell company. The settlement confidential, but it gave us leverage and liquidity. I bought the debt, legally. I now owned the HOA's obligations. I controlled the clubhouse, the pool, the whole false utopia they had weaponized against us. For 1 week, I let it ride. I parked my John Deere tractor under their crystal chandelier, used their ballroom to store hay bales, turned their Olympic-sized pool into a grain bin. Residents were furious. News crews swarmed. One photo me, straw hat, thermos in hand, leaning on a hay bale labeled Brighton Blend, went viral. The internet called it the Brighton backfire. But I wasn't after revenge. I invited River Glen's residents to a town hall. No lawyers, no cameras, just neighbors. I told them the truth about the water rights, about the manipulation, about how they'd been pawns in someone else's profit plan. Then I offered them a choice. I would forgive the debt, but only if we dissolved the old HOA and formed a new community council. Equal voices, farm and suburb, rural and residential. They could keep their walking trails, their quiet evenings. We would keep our land, our access, our history, and together, we'd build something better. They voted yes. The old clubhouse became a shared agri-learning center. My wife teaches gardening workshops there now. The former surveillance fences were melted down and reforged into garden beds and benches. Children from River Glen now volunteer on our ranch during harvest season. They know how to milk a goat, and they know why fences matter. Celeste Brighton. She was charged with fraud, conspiracy, and coercion. She served 18 months. Her public apology, handwritten, notarized, and heartfelt, now hangs inside the Learning Center above a photo of the original ranch gate. Today, they call our cooperative charter the Ramirez Doctrine. It's studied in law schools and land conferences. But here in Benton County, it's just called home, because in the end, this story wasn't about winning a feud. It was about protecting something older than rules, older than HOA bylaws, something rooted deep in the dirt, passed down from calloused hands, and defended not with vengeance, but with vision. When they blocked our road, they thought we'd turn back. Instead, we drove through the gate and rebuilt the path forward for everyone.